How's everybody doing today? Hotep, hey, this is Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show. I want to invite you to join me Saturday, June 24th, 2023, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for class number 1 of my 12-week online course, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Kemet is one of the original names for Egypt. This is a fantastic 12-week online course that I teach. We deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. And right now we see an unprecedented attack on the teaching of African history and African American history. We see these fake anti-critical race theory laws that are being passed in state legislatures that Republicans dominate, especially in former Confederate states. We see the attack on the advanced placement African American Studies course in Florida. We see the attack on the way that African American History Month, Black History Month is taught in various schools as well that are passing these anti-critical race theory laws. There's a concerted effort to keep African Americans from waking up. There's a concerted effort to keep this history from being taught, and is being attacked even when it's taught in mainstream media. We know that with Juneteenth, about 60% of Americans know little or nothing about Juneteenth. This was a study that came out. New York Times has an article about this from June 2021. Most Americans know little or nothing about Juneteenth, poll finds. And as we see in the broadcasts that I've done and interviews that I've done this year for Juneteenth, unfortunately, a lot of the information that's floating around in mainstream media, MSNBC, CNN, Washington Post, New York Times, various articles, a lot of that information is false when it even comes to understanding the Emancipation Proclamation, which did not legally free the enslaved Africans. And so it's important to get this history correct, because understanding a legacy of 246 years of slavery, decades of Jim Crow segregation, housing discrimination, redlining, voter suppression, over-policing, health disparities as well. This leads to the structural inequities that we're dealing with today. So your understanding of politics is directly related to your understanding of history, okay? All this comes together. So the more we understand about history, the better we understand about politics and understand how to bring into existence the laws and policies that we need to correct the structural inequities that we're dealing with. So we deal with a lot of this in this 12-week online course. We see Axios.com had an article, New Rules Are Limiting How Teachers Can Teach Black History Month. We look at USA Today had an article, Mock Slave Auctions, Racist Lessons, How U.S. History Class Often Traumatizes, Dehumanizes Black Students. Republican state lawmakers want to punish schools that teach the 1619 Project, etc. And most recently, if we look at what's coming out of Florida, we look at this article here from news1.com. We see most recently, June 17th, 2023, right around that time, we see Governor Ron DeSantis, just in time for Juneteenth, he slashed funding for Black history programs in Florida, and he also vetoed a $5 million in funding that was secured for anti-gun violence groups by state Democrats. This is from news1.com, June 17th, 2023. But also, so there was $160,000 in funding that he cut from the budget, Governor Ron DeSantis, for a Black History Month celebration in Orlando, Florida, called the 1619 Fest. And this has nothing to do with the 1619 Project when you actually read the article. He also cut $200,000 in funding for Florida's Black Music Legacy, a project designed to highlight the state's contribution to Black music. And we know June is Black Music Month. But Here is something extremely critical, and this deals with the Ocoee Massacre of November 2nd, 1920, which is one of the largest election day massacres in the history of this country. This took place in Florida, Ocoee, Florida. In 2022, Governor Ron DeSantis vetoed $1 million for Valencia College to create a feature film about the 1920 Ocoee Election Day massacre, in which a white mob attacked and killed dozens of African-American voters in the nation's worst instance of election day violence. Okay, so we see this concerted effort to suppress the teaching of this information, to keep it from being taught. All right, so this class is extremely powerful, extremely critical. I've been teaching it on and off since 2017. So I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips, and this information. The class is PG-13, so you can use this with your children as well. Okay, so we deal, as I said, we deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. If we look at an introduction to the class, we can't start studying our history in slavery. Even when we study the transatlantic slave trade, which is important to study, we can't start in 1619 or 1441 with the Portuguese going into Mauritania. Okay, we have to deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. We have to look at this history chronologically, and we have to deal with the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors, who take the teachings from the Iberian Peninsula, today known as Spain and Portugal, into Europe, and this helps to bring Europe out of the Dark Ages. Okay. Now, this course not only deals with the transatlantic slave trade, but thousands of years of history that leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. August 20th, 2019 marked the 400th year anniversary of the 20 and odd Africans who came into Point Comfort on August 20th, 1619, in what would later be called the colony of Virginia. This year was known as the year of return, as many African Americans were and continue to reconnect to Africa and are traveling to Ghana and other West African countries, but even traveling to East Africa and North Africa, like Egypt. Now, when we discuss the transatlantic slave trade, we have to first understand that African people are the original people of North, Central, and South America, and have been in the land we call the United States of America for at least 51,700 years. Okay, so we deal with thousands of years of history. We deal with great African empires like ancient Nubia, ancient Kemet. We look at Carthage and Hannibal Barca and the Carthaginians, the Punic Wars. We deal with Axum. The three great West African empires of Ghana, Songhai, and Mali. We look at the Olmec culture as well, Namibia, and we go throughout and look at this history chronologically. We deal with Mansa Musa, who was the richest man in the history of the world and who has a lot in common with T'Challa in the film Black Panther. We look at we analyze the Black Panther movies. Also the Woman King, and we deal with the Cleopatra documentary from Jada Pinkett Smith. Okay, so we look at these representations that we see in the media, these recent representations in the media that deal with history also. Okay, the film Black Panther is extremely important because there are 11 different African cultures that we see represented in Black Panther. We know the Panther deity Bast comes from Bastet, which is a neter, a deity, a goddess in ancient Kemet. And Bastet was worshipped in the form of a lioness and later a cat. And she was worshipped as early as the second dynasty, 2890 BCE. We know the Wakanda salute comes from the position of the Nsubitis or the pharaohs, and it's always right over left, the arms crossed right over left, which is a symbol of power and a symbol of royalty. This is where the Wakanda salute comes from. We know the word Wakanda is a real word as well, and comes from the Omaha, Ponca, and Sioux Indian languages, and means possesses secret powers, but it's also a key Congo word is Bantu, and Wakanda is in reference to family. Ruth Carter, who was the costume designer for Black Panther 1 and Black Panther 2, she spent 6 months studying 11 different African cultures and infused all of that into the film Black Panther. There's 7 or 8 different books that we reference in the course. One of them is from my friend, Dr. David Imhotep, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence, and we deal with the African presence in the land we call the United States of America, going back at least 51,700 years ago. We look at Dr. Albert Goodyear's discovery in 2004, Allendale County, South Carolina, where he discovered 13 different types of evidence thoroughly documenting an African presence in this country we call the United States of America. And these were the short-statured Africans, the Khoisan. He found artifacts, architecture, campsites, carvings, Egyptian writings, footprints in lava, genetic M174D haploid groups dealing with DNA and genetics, linguistics, paintings, skulls, skeletons, structures, and tools. He found 13 different types of evidence thoroughly documenting an African presence in this country. And you could read the article from ScienceDaily.com. New evidence puts man in North America 50,000 years ago, from November 18th, 2004, that talks about his discovery. Here's a picture of Dr. Albert Goodyear. And the Khoisan have the oldest DNA on the planet. These are the short-statured Africans. They are the ancestors to the Ainu and the Twa. They go all around the world. And a genetic study from October 2012, published in Science magazine, found that the Khoisan in Southern Africa are the oldest ethnic group of modern humans, with their ancestral line originating about 100,000 years ago. The Khoisan, formerly called by the derogatory term Bushmen, are genetically unique, and no other currently known population has separated so early from our common modern human ancestor, according to the report. Here are a couple of Khoisan women here in this picture. Now, the Khoisan live in mainly southern Africa, in territory spanning Botswana, Namibia, Angola, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and South Africa. They are largely divided into 2 groups: hunters and gatherers, who are called the Sans people, S-A-N-S, and keepers of livestock, called the Khoikhoi people. The Khoisan languages include the distinctive click sounds that are not found in the languages of their neighbors. AtlantaBlackStar.com had a good article, 5 ethnic groups that prove the first humans were Black. So we take you through our history. We look at numerous archaeological discoveries that keep pushing the timelines back. There was a big discovery that came out of Morocco in June of 2017. NBCnews.com has this article, "We're older than we thought. New find pushes human origin back 100,000 years ago." And this discovery, they found remains of modern man, Homo sapiens, that date back 300,000 to 350,000 years ago. And this was in Morocco, which is in North Africa. And this is over 100,000 years older than the oldest remains that they found that they had to date of Homo sapiens, which dated back 195,000 years ago and were found in Ethiopia. Okay, so we look at numerous archaeological discoveries. We study Egypt of the West and look at the symbolism coming out of ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt. We look at the Tekken, which is a symbol of the resurrection of the African king Asar. Okay, A-U-S-A-R, Asar, who the Greeks called Osiris. And we see that the Tekkenu for plural, have been taken around the world. There were at least 1,200 Tekkenu in ancient Kemet. Today, there are less than 12. And ancient Egyptians called obelisks Tekkenu, and they were also used to tell time in the past. Their pinnacles were basically covered in gold to reflect the sunlight. Historians say the obelisks represented immortality and eternity, and their long structure helped connect the heavens and the earth. Currently, Cleopatra's Needle is the name given to 3 ancient Egyptian obelisks, one in New York City, one in London, England, and one in Paris, France. However, they do not all come from one Egyptian site. The obelisks in New York and London are carved out of red granite from the quarries of Aswan, a major source of stone antiquities. Okay, the 2 obelisks were commissioned by Nasubiti or Pharaoh Thutmose III for the Temple of the Sun in Heliopolis near modern-day Cairo, with each weighing about 224 tons and stands 68 feet tall. FaceToFaceAfrica.com has a good article, Cleopatra's Needle, how 3 ancient Egyptian obelisks ended up in New York City, London, and Paris. So we look at these structures and we think that Europeans are so brilliant for building these structures, but don't know that these structures were built by African people and taken to other parts of the world, taken to London, England, taken to Paris, France, taken to New York City. In this class, we deal with how the layout of Washington, D.C. is also a copy of the layout of ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt. Okay, so Africa has given so much to the world, introduced civilization, introduced writing, introduced economies, the first economic system, introduced agriculture, the first political systems, etc. But the first Holy Trinity comes out of Africa as well, that of Asar, Osset, and Heru, who the Greeks called Osiris, Isis, and Horus. And we know that there were approximately 1,200 Tekenu built in ancient Kemet, but only about a dozen are found, or less than 12 are found in Egypt today. Many of the Tekenu removed from Egypt are now in Istanbul, Turkey, London, England, Paris, France, Berlin, Germany, New York, Rome, Italy, Vatican City, and elsewhere throughout the world. The Tekenu are now called obelisks by their new owners, and few know their origin or that they symbolize the resurrection of the African king Asar. If you read page 17 of Egypt on the Potomac by Tony Browder, Browder breaks this down. I just interviewed Tony Browder in April 2023. We dealt with why Nile Valley civilization history is so important. He's a friend of mine. This is one of the books we use in the class, as well as his other book, his most well-known book, Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization. And we have that one. I have that one here. So we show you excerpts of the books on the screen. So you don't have to buy any of these books. You can if you want to, but we show you excerpts of the book usually in the class. And this is a very visual class as well. I do a PowerPoint presentation. These are some actual slides from the class. I put together the whole curriculum for this. I'm a historian. I've been studying 31 years. You see me on Roland Martin Unfiltered. You see me on Faraji Muhammad Show, The Culture. You see me on the Tammy Mack Show, Reva Martin in real time. And you watch the African History Network show. So, you know, I've been doing this a long time. Okay. The word Mason is derived from the Latin words mass and sun. Mason means child of light and expresses the desire to pursue light, which is a metaphor for the sun, which symbolizes knowledge. The term child of light or sons and daughters of light was first used to identify students who had completed 42 years of study in the temples of ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt. Many Masonic temples were modeled after the temples of Kemet, places where light or knowledge was imparted in a series of steps or degrees. So if you read pages 18 and 32 of Egypt on the Potomac, Browder deals with this type of information. So the concept of going to an institution of higher learning and getting your credentials in a series of steps or degrees, associate's degree, master's degree, bachelor's degree, PhD, that comes out of ancient Kemet. That comes out of the Grand Lodges, where we taught this information and the initiates studied for 42 years. Okay, so we have, let's see. All right, so we deal with things like why is Christmas celebrated on December 25th? There's so much information that we deal with in the class. We deal with the origins of Santa Claus coming from Sinterklaas, which is Dutch, and the Dutch introduced this this religious figure of Santa Claus, Sinterklaas. Sinterklaas is Dutch for Saint Nicholas, and Santa Claus means Saint Nicholas. And Sinterklaas had a sidekick named Black Pete Joie de Piet, who was a Moor. So this also deals with the presence of the African Moors in Europe, in Holland, and in the mythology they talk about how Black Pete comes from Spain. Okay, and Sinterklaas comes into the Netherlands in early November on the steamboat coming from Spain, and we know Spain is where the Iberian Peninsula, where the Moors go into Europe in 711 AD. So we deal with who are the Moors, origin of the word Moor as well. We deal with some of the history of the Moors and what they introduced into Europe, and the Moors bringing Europe out of the Dark Ages, and how this is going to be to our detriment as well. And this leads to the transatlantic slave trade. So we talk about Jada Pinkett Smith's documentary, African Queens. She had one segment dealing with Queen Nzinga or Njinga. She had another one dealing with Cleopatra VII. So we talk about that as well. And we have to deal with Christopher Columbus because when we look at where Columbus went on his 4 voyages, these areas have never recovered from from being conquered by Spain, and Columbus is crucial to the expansion of the transatlantic slave trade and helping lay the foundation for slavery, racism, capitalism, and the exploitation of indigenous people. And when we look at where Columbus went on his 4 voyages, he never comes to the land that we call the United States of America. The closest he comes here is Cuba, which is 90 miles away. Okay, so this is a very comprehensive class. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. This is Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Class number 1 starts up Saturday, June 24th, 2023. Register right now. Visit our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com. So when you visit our website, you scroll down the page, you'll see the information for our Sunday night radio show, the African History Network show, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 9:10 a.m. Superstation WFDF, and we broadcast on our social media platforms. You see our PayPal, Cash App information here as well. And then 12-week online course. So we do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. This class is on sale $80, regularly $130. You can register for the full 12-week online course here. When you click on that link, it takes you to the next page. And on the next page, just click on enroll. Right here, the purple button, enroll. As soon as you register, you can start watching the content, okay? And we do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch this anytime. A year from now, 2 years from now, you can go back and watch the entire class. You don't have to be in class live, or don't take attendance, anything like that. We have a live text chat also. In class, you can see me, I can't see you. We have a live text chat, so you can ask questions in class as well, okay? And we have a bundle pack where you get this class and the second class that I teach, Black resistance movements from the Haitian Revolution, U.S. Civil War, Civil Rights Movement, and Black Power Movement, 1800 to 1968. I teach that class on Sundays, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that class, we deal with so much history. We deal with that crucial period of time leading up to the Civil War, and after slavery ends, in the Reconstruction era, Jim Crow era, Great Migration, World War I, World War II, Civil Rights Movement, Black Power Movement, to understand what happened to us after slavery ended, what were the laws and policies put in place to put us where we are, to bring us to where we are today, to understand where we need to go from here. So your understanding of politics, and politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. Your understanding of politics is directly related to your understanding of history. So the more you understand history, the better you understand politics, the better we understand how all these policies impact us and how to engage in politics. And this is why you hear me say we have to stop telling African Americans to exercise your right to vote. You don't vote for exercise. If you want to exercise, you go to the gym and work out. You vote for power. Politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. So we have to understand history, economics, law, and politics to be able to put together agendas, to be able to organize and force our agenda and get policies put in place that are beneficial to African Americans, and what's good for African Americans are good for America in general. All right, so visit our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com. You can register for this class. Class number 1 is Saturday, June 24th. Class number 2 is Saturday, July 1st. Class number 3 is Saturday, July 8th. And this is 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the link for the class in the thread of the broadcast. You can register right now. We have bonus content already uploaded that you can start watching, and you'll also get 5 of my lectures free included with the registration of this course. There will be in the video library, so you can stream 5 of my lectures also. If you want to support the African History Network, and if you if you want to pay through Cash App, you can do so right through our website. Right on the homepage of our website, our Cash App information is there. $ the AHN show through Cash App, or through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. And this is our Cash App account. And we have the link on the homepage of our website because there's some fake African History Network Cash App accounts out there. And I'm still trying to get them shut down. So when you scroll down our website, we have our Cash App information. Click right here, and takes you to our Cash App link. Is $ the AHN show, SHOW. And when you go to it, it will say Michael also. So we have that there, and our PayPal information is here as well. paypal.me/the AHN show. All right. So we'll hope to see you in class this Saturday. Remember, right knowledge corrects wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And we'll talk to you next time. Peace.